Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all viewers today. So, welcome to our 8th session of webinar series, Leaders of Enterprise, brought to you by Faculty of Engineering, University, Technology Malaysia Johor Bahru. We are initiating university-industry collaboration, share their thoughts, way forward and challenges. Now we are streaming live from Facebook Faculty of Engineering, University Technology Malaysia. So today we would like to welcome Dr. Rahmat Shazi, Technical Director from Shazinnovation, with his interesting topic today, entitled How Industry Can Help in Contextualization of Tertiary Education. I believe today will be a very interesting topic where we can actually how work together between university and industry. Yeah. So welcome, Dr. Rahmat Shazi. How are you?
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm doing fine. I'm doing much better. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Appreciate the trust, most importantly. And
Yep.
hope to
So I
help.
still remember, yeah. When was the last time you in UTM? I think we met you at UTM.
Physically, I
Yeah.
believe it was at the it was a university leaders conference. If it wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago. That
2 years
was
ago.
the last time I was there.
Yeah, even some time, right? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So maybe today we have audience and viewers live Facebook and YouTube would like to know more about what you're doing now, actually, because maybe it's different from what I met you 2 years ago. So yeah, maybe Dr. Rahmat, you have something to say, probably to introduce yourself about your company and what you're doing now, and things that maybe your background and family. Please, Dr. Rahmat, is over to you. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Prof, for this
Welcome.
opportunity. Thank you to UTM. It is always a pleasure to actually contribute to UTM. Now, I am not an alumni of UTM directly, but let me explain why I have this affinity for university
Sure.
technology in
Please,
Malaysia.
yeah.
Right. Now, when I came back from my undergraduate studies, I joined University Technology Petronas as a lecturer. Now, during that time, my interest in managing innovation increased. Yeah, it was peaked. And I had the opportunity to join a number of training on innovation management. Yeah, and all that was actually managed and delivered by UTM. I remember the first session was actually in JB all the way, 5 hour drive, the middle of the
From
night.
Perak, yeah.
Yes, from Perak. So I have had the opportunity to actually, in essence, be trained by UTM, the short courses. I had the chance to actually work closely with Professor Dato Ahmad Fauzi Ismail,
Yep.
and a number of other UTM lecturers, both in JB as well as in KL. Currently, I am an industry advisory panel for UTM MJIIT in KL, as well as 9 other universities around Malaysia. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the academia for still wanting to hear the points that I would like to share. Alhamdulillah, appreciate that. So currently, I am actually running my own firm, Shazinnovation. Our focus or our competence is actually on social capital data analytics. In a nutshell, what we do is we actually use algorithms to help organizations figure out who are the central players inside their organization, the midfielders lah. Use a soccer and analogy.
Yes.
Because striker is easy to see their performance. Goalie, how many goals they stop. Midfielders, you start to wonder, who are the people who's really holding the organization together? You have to do analysis, and that's what we do lah. And
I could understand that.
interestingly enough,
Yeah,
yes, itulah.
I play
And
football. Yeah.
the thing is, kan, in a lot of cases, people easily recognize Ronaldo, easily recognize Buffon. The moment I say Gattuso, I know. Even the hantu bola, those who are really passionate about soccer, they have to think twice. Gattuso is, when in actual fact, Gattuso was once regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world, kan? So it's
Yeah.
because their contributions need to be analyzed. Their contributions are not so visible, unlike the rest. Now, and that's what we do. And we use algorithms which also include an element from engineering, believe it or not. We use
Yeah.
engineering concept to help explain how people behave.
Very
Ah,
interesting.
very fascinating. It's more fascinating, especially when you find that it's more accurate than the sociological models. You would start to wonder, wow, okay, that's
Wow.
interesting.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So
So you
that's
can,
what
meaning to say that you can model it, yeah, all these things by algorithm from the mathematicals, yeah. Yep.
yes.
And
So
very
whoever
interesting.
say engineering, hey, you can use your engineering across the board, multidisciplinary. I am a strong proponent of that.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. So, looking at your, I mean, your degree, you basically you got masters in mechanical engineering, right? Yeah,
Yes.
from states, and then you got PhD in business innovation management, right? So there are things that I mean trigger me. The word is innovation, and then you do the
Yes.
innovation management. There's something interesting that how actually you relate this social network analysis with this innovation management, Dr. Rahmat. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And that is definitely one of our specialty, our focus. Talking about innovation, yeah, everybody keeps mentioning about it. As a matter of fact, I think yesterday, Mr. Abdul Aziz from Rand Hill was on the UTM Leaders of Enterprise session
Yep.
talking about the kind of human capital that companies like Rand Hill are looking for. And he put a lot of emphasis on creativity and innovation. And I think I need to actually be very frank when I say this. One of the problems that we have is that we don't define innovation properly.
Yeah.
It's quite
The istilah innovation too, right?
unfortunately, for various reasons, which I think is actually beyond the scope of our particular topic.
Yep.
But what I want to do is actually highlight the impact and how industry can actually collaborate with academia to actually help realign things,
Yeah.
to actually say, this is what we meant. When we say innovation, this is what we mean. We didn't mean
Yep.
that. We meant this one. So
Yeah.
there, yeah, the universities can actually see, right. So this is how we can retailer what we've already delivered. And I'm a strong believer that we don't really need to change the syllabus, especially with Industry 4.0. The basic syllabus, a lot of industry advisory panel people will disagree with me. They say, no, change the syllabus. I am of a different opinion that what needs to be changed is the way we assess our students. That is the challenge. So the good thing about that is you don't have to go fight MQA lah. I think that will
Thank you.
help.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rahmat. Dr. Rahmat. Dr. Rahmat, I think you have something to share with our viewers, some presentation or talk. Please, yeah.
Absolutely. So let's switch to that now.
Yeah.
Bismillah. Right. Can you see the screen?
Coming. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So let me share or rather start the slideshow. So these are my slide deck talking about how industry can help in contextualization of tertiary education. So just quickly, I am an industry advisory panel member of 10 universities. I have had the honor
10 university,
at
yeah? 10, yeah?
10 universities at this point in
Wow.
time, both local as well as foreign universities. Um, And I've had the pleasure of actually working with industry and university in bridging the gap. 2 or 3 years, for the past 2 or 3 years, I was
Yep.
actually in charge of retraining or reskilling Selangor graduates into high value industries where there's a lot of value add behind
Yep.
the activities of these organizations. And from that experience, I began to see, oh, this is what industry, man. They, now I'm going to actually lead the discussion and actually say, a lot of times industry say A, but in actual fact, they mean K. They don't mean A. Yeah, and I will explain why that happens. And by understanding that, those in university and tertiary education can have a much better understanding how to actually support the industry. And industry will then understand, oh, this is what they hear when we say this. Oh, yeah, ke? Okay, it's clear. So hopefully these slides will actually help
Yeah.
explain that. So here we go. My
Yep.
sharing today will start with talking about what exactly ails us. What exactly are we missing?
Mm.
Because technically we are a great country. We have a lot of resources. We have good human capital. We have people coming over from all over the world. So, and people who come from our education system excel overseas. So we have to ask the question, how come? Apa dah? Orang Kedah kata
Mm-hmm.
betul lah. Apa dah?
Yeah.
What's right? So then we talk about the academic industry chasm. What exactly defines this gap, and how do we actually look at activities that will do value add to industry? Because at this point in time, those critical elements, are actually missing in action. They're there, they're
Yep.
there, but they're not in
Mm-hmm.
action. Ah, yeah. So just
Yeah.
leading the discussion again, what I will actually highlight later is the documents, the planning that we already have is great. That is why people come from all over the world to actually even study here in Malaysia. But we
Yeah.
need to actually leverage on these value add elements in order to move forward. So that is the gist of what I will be sharing today. Sorry, Prof, I considerable lag in the discussion.
Yeah. Mm.
Hopefully we can anticipate lah. So my apologies if it doesn't actually match my voice couple there.
Yep. It's okay. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. So moving on. So
Yep.
who exactly is Shazinnovation Solution? We consider ourselves to be a startup business, but what we do is actually do data analytics, focusing on social capital. I will explain what social capital is in a bit. Yeah? We focus on social capital because we tend to focus on human capital, forgetting that people actually work together in social environments. Yeah. So this the next slide really talks about what social capital is all about. It's really made up of three elements. Yeah. So if you take a look at the top left corner, it talks about the cognitive side, the know-how, technical ideas that people have, language, skill sets. For example, thinking skills or thinking methodologies that people have. So all that falls under the cognitive side of people. Okay. Now, on the left, or rather on the right side of the screen, we talk about soft skills, the
Yep.
relational element. The relational element. If we look at research and you try to find papers that talk about soft skills, there are not many papers that talk about that. But when you type relational elements, there's a lot. So it's called relational elements because it talks about how do you connect with others. So these are things like behaviors. Yang ni HR suka dengar lah. Behavior, because they like to measure that.
Yeah.
Behaviors. Is this person really contributing? And then trusting behavior. Who trusts who? And which elements of trust? So now it becomes very complicated. It sounds simple, trust.
Yep.
When you realize, it's
To
almost as
execute
complicated.
To execute is
Sorry,
not
what?
easy actually. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
The thing is, the past 15 years, with computer power, the way things are,
Mm,
there are a
mm.
lot of things that we can do, including engineering people. There's a lot. Ah, and we are a bit behind on this. So I am glad to hear that
When
universities
you,
like UTM.
Dr. Rahmat, when you said
Silakan.
behind of this, you compare with whom actually?
So we are behind for compared to other developed nations that have really
Yeah,
used
yeah.
engineers to
Mm-hmm.
help predict how its people will behave, to actually help manage
Yeah.
resources, its human resources.
Mm-hmm. But
Some of the leaders in
I
this.
mean, yeah. Is that mean that we have a sufficient resources? Only now the lacking is how to manage it. Is that you want to say?
Yes, correct. You're right, Prof. You're exactly on the dot. Including
Yeah.
how we integrate these people.
Yeah.
Systems
Yeah.
integration is missing.
Yes, I
Gitu.
could agree more on that. Yep. Yep.
So hopefully after this we can have, I mean, this discussion, this sharing will actually spark a discussion as to how can
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
actually do the integration.
Mm. That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
itulah.
So yeah, this is the. I mean, is a starting platform for us to discuss, and we believe that we further can do more. This kind of yeah integration, this kind of session, to
Yes,
spark this. I mean, this right idea actually. This is a right
I believe
idea.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you that, Prof. Inshallah,
Yeah.
we do that lah. So
But Dr. Rahmat,
um,
I'm interesting because in your picture you have computational model right there.
yes,
So yeah, maybe you need to elaborate more. Maybe the viewer would like to understand how do you relate this computational model with all this element of social capital data analytics actually. Yeah.
right. Um, so essentially,
Mm,
what we need to capture are three big dimensions: know-how, soft skills, and know-who.
mm.
Here in Malaysia, we don't really call it know-who, we call it capability.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
I gave a TEDx talk on capability. Those who are watching
Capability.
you can
Mm.
actually look that up on YouTube. Capability, then you see, oh, ini girl. Oh, we know cables. Social capital, we don't know in Malaysia.
All right.
And the problem, when we analyze social elements, is that unlike other statistics, they are all interconnected.
Mm. Yeah.
They're all interconnected, and the data that we actually gather, the observation, is usually just you only get
Yeah.
one observation. Now, that's where the computational model comes in to actually help generate the statistics, or they call it the statistical space
Please.
of
Mm-hmm.
possibilities, and we use the computer to actually determine which elements of soft skills, of know-how, drives the know-who. Because at the end of the
Okay.
day, the things that we need
Mm-hmm.
to know is, okay, who has cables with who, which are the good cables, which are the bad cables, because there are characteristics of good cables.
Yeah. Mm.
In Malaysia, we think, oh, all cables are bad. They're not. There are certain elements related to that. I mean, if all cables are bad, then you
Mm-hmm.
don't see how people deliver things. You see criminals being able to deliver things, kan? They are able to make money. Wonder,
Yeah. Yeah. If
cable dia
money is
bagus ke?
your priority, they can make money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there must be so we need to actually use the computer model to understand which of those are good, which of those are bad. So that way we can take the next step. Lah. So this is really
Okay.
a step above human capital.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we can. Yeah. I think I can get better understanding now. Yeah. Please
Right.
proceed with
Alhamdulillah.
your. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank
For
you, Prof.
the.
So here's an example of social capital in action.
Mm-mm.
You see two diagrams. The one on the left shows a typical hierarchical chart, the hierarchy and that you put on the wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hierarchy. Yeah. Mm.
yes. Interestingly enough, so this is actually from a real organization. Interestingly enough, in this organization, the senior vice president knew that something wasn't quite right. So he commissioned us to actually do a study. And what we found was that the way the organization works is not based on the hierarchy. It's actually based on the social capital network that you see on the right. The reality is the one on the right. It's not the one on the left. And when we map it, when we map the social capital elements, we find that the person who is central, in Malay maybe otai dia lah, the real otai.
Otai lah tu.
Otai dia, ataupun Chinese dia panggil apa ni, dia punya
Kiasu.
Tailo.
Kiasu. Taiko.
Tailo
Bukan
dia,
kiasu,
Taiko dia. Tak, bukan itu. Taiko dia.
Alright.
It's actually somebody else. And in this case, in this organization, the Taiko, the otai, is actually relatively low in the hierarchy.
In the hierarchy, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So this person who's relatively low is actually central to this organization's operational. Now, if Jones, the senior vice president, did not have this particular mapping, Jones would have missed the fact that Cole is central. And imagine what would happen to the organization if Cole, she left the organization. Hancur.
Yeah.
Whole organization falls apart.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is how we actually analyze the importance of midfielders. The people who, I mean, if I may use an academic term, the people who struggle to fulfill their KPI, but they're helping other people's KPIs. So, and in a lot of organizations, these people, they miss out. They miss out on promotion. They miss out on special benefits, even though they are the ones who are the midfielders. We don't want this to happen. So this is what we do. This is the social capital work that we actually do. And I will actually relate this to the importance for industry later on.
Yep.
Yes. And these are the applications. This is what we have done with social capital data analytics. We've done corruption detection. We've done mergers and acquisition. We've even done research ROI. This is something that Professor Dato' Rahmat Fauzi was talking about. The VC of UTM talking about when it comes to getting or measuring the return of investment on research. Culture diffusion, innovation management, right sizing, in other words, figuring out who to keep in the organization. Ini serious, ini sensitive sikit. And internal communication. So these are some of the applications. And these are some of the people, clients that we have had.
Clients,
Yes. So interestingly enough, notice a lot more of our clients are overseas than in Malaysia.
Interesting. Yeah. Why is that? Is there any explanation to that?
We believe that, as I mentioned, organizations in Malaysia, one, very traditional, so they're not comfortable with data analytics because this is going to really open up cans of worms. Are you ready? Now, our finding is that not many organizations are ahead of the curve. They have they are willing to actually really look deep into what exactly are the problems. Yes. So foreign clients, they are very dependent on data-driven analytics to make the right call. I mean, we even did it for UK Economic and Social Research Council under the UK government. So we've done this for them as well. So NCSIRO, the Australian Science and Industry Research Organization. But in Malaysia, I guess our cables are not strong. Let me put it that way.
Capability, right?
Capability in Malaysia a bit low. Overseas, a lot easier.
Capability,
I've been talking too much about my organization. Let's get back to the topic at hand, Prof.
Yep, sure. Yep.
Alhamdulillah.
So this is the industry context for the education, right? Okay.
Yes.
We're going to hear now, right?
Yes, exactly. So let's try to understand what exactly is or constitutes the issues that we face. But I'm boiling them down. Of course, we can unpack them further, but it's not the intention. And we don't have that much time.
Yeah.
So
we can make another session. No worry.
Inshallah.
Yes,
thank you, Prof. Appreciate that very much. So to begin with, what exactly is innovation? because in Malaysia, yeah, if you look at how organizations define innovation, they tend to actually omit a very important element. Now, what you see here is extracted from 260 pages of the Oslo Manual. The fourth edition was published in 2018, and this particular manual is used by the OECD. And indeed, a lot of consultants, those who do ISO 56000, which is on innovation management, they
Yep.
focus on this particular manual, but they miss even the basic definition. This basic definition, whereby innovation must have an element of novelty,
Yep.
must have an element of users and market uptake. These elements are missing from the definition. And if I may actually share my own horror story, if I may use that phrase, in 2015, when I was still working for UTP, I attended the National Innovation and Conference and Exhibition. So there were four DVCs on stage. And they were talking about innovation. There was a special session on that. And one of the
Yep.
DVC said, "Oh, innovations must be marketed." And as a person who did his PhD in innovation management, that statement struck me because I thought, here I am. I just came back from my PhD and I thought, wait, an innovation becomes an innovation after you've been able to get users to use them. If it hasn't been commercialized, if it hasn't had market uptake, then it's not an innovation. And I foolishly asked that question.
Okay. Okay.
I asked that question. Hey,
Interesting.
why is innovation defined that way? Now, I told you four DVCs on stage, kan? Three of the DVCs got angry. Oh, wow.
It's not happy, yeah.
Not happy at all. They say, what do you know? You're young. You just came back from Australia. What do you know? And guess what? Now, the fourth DVC stood up on stage and he said, no, he's right. Now, that DVC is Professor Dato Ahmad Fauzi Ismail. He's the only one who actually stood up and said, no, he's right. The definition is right. And after that, the four DVCs continue their fight on stage. I thought, alamak, what have I started?
It was
So,
interesting.
oh yes,
Okay.
it was very interesting. That's one reason why I have an
Which is
affinity.
also surprise to you, right?
Very,
Unexpected and surprise, yeah?
uh, exactly. But this is one of the reasons why I have an affinity for UTM, because UTM
Yeah.
has leaders who, when they realize, hey, that's correct, they are willing to stand up and say, this is the correct information, this is the correct knowledge. So we have to actually go for this. Not many universities I see have those kind of leaders. Unfortunately, I mean, universities may disagree, which is fine. That's okay. But in industry, we don't see that as much. However, this is perhaps one of
Yeah.
the things that
There's
ails
another
us, and we
point, yeah.
have to Prof. That is something that
Yeah.
we really need to really take a step back and ask, why did this happen? How do we actually fix
Yeah.
this? Betulkan yang biasa, biasakan yang betul.
Yeah. Can I add to one issue on this one?
Please, Prof.
There's what we call it term TRL, yeah, technology
Yes.
readiness level, right?
Yes.
So by having that TRL, how do you think that can really, I mean, effectively and efficiently apply to the context of Malaysia? Because some
Yes.
country like Turkey, Korea, I mean, they really apply that TRL and yeah, successfully. I mean, success story, right? Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, in the context of Malaysia, I think the realization of that is, from my point of view, is not really being translated into reality actually. So
Yes.
maybe you can add something on that, or from your point of view about that TRL related to Malaysia, Doctor. Yeah.
Sure, Prof. Um, Yes, with regard to the technical readiness level.
Yeah.
On the surface, it is a very good indicator. It's like a ruler, kan?
Yep.
Like a ruler. You put it on the
Yeah.
ground, okay, which terrain are you? Oh, you're here, you're here, you're here. Um, the issue is we tend to forget that there is an innovation value chain and support activities that need to be aligned with that. And unfortunately, in Malaysia, we are looking at the measures, but we're not looking at how do we move it from one TRL to the next. We just say, okay, here's the measure. When we ask, right, we need resources to do this, we need resources to do that. What resources? You don't need to actually have that. Um, Allow me to actually share a very interesting session or
Yes.
discussion I had.
Another interesting session. Yeah.
I hope this is interesting to the people listening.
Yeah.
And I
Sure.
attended a session in the quadruple helix discussion in UTP back in 2017.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you
And
told me about
on
this.
stage was Professor Dato Asma of USM.
Mm, mm.
Uh, And she was saying it's difficult for USM to actually get their ideas to the commercial, to the market, because there are limitations that were placed on USM. So I asked her, what about the innovation value chain? What about having the right people to do business development in industry, business
Mm,
development?
mm.
She said, Rahmat, do you know that in USM, or at the time, 2017, there are
2017.
circulars
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
us, sorry, Prof?
Yeah. 3 years ago, right?
Yes, 3 years ago. And she was saying, did you know there are circulars telling us we can't hire business development people? I thought, wait, but that is support required to commercialize, to bring
Mm,
your idea from, for example, the RDBC value chain, kan? The research,
mm.
development, business and commercialization. Oh, tak boleh. Wow. Okay, so we have an issue here. We have an issue in which we don't understand the innovation value chain.
What?
So
Okay.
this is the
This
next
one. Yeah.
slide that
Mm.
I would like. It's a nice segue into that lah. So thank you for that point, Prof.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
innovation
Yeah.
value chain. So
Mm.
innovation value chain, as you can see, is made up of the four elements at the bottom, divided into two
Mm.
phases. So that's the
Four.
creative work behavior on the left side. You can see
Mm-hmm.
problem identification, idea generation.
Yep. Mm.
And they're divided because there are distinct socio-psychological requirements of the people within these phases. In other words, you can't have the same people, or you have
Yep.
to rearrange the people.
Mm. Mm.
Yang tu. So, I mean, if you think about how universities or RMC models right now, kan, if that person is given that project, sampai habis dia lah juga.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. So, but we already know from innovation research, we can't have that. And industry knows this. Industry knows this very well. But they don't actually pass that information to universities, kan?
Mm.
Now, so that's one gap. So notice the point I'm trying to make is it's not
Yeah.
all academia's fault. Industry pun kadang-kadang 2 kali 5 je. So this is what, and I think today I won't make a lot of friends from academia and industry. But kita
Thanks.
kongsi lah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
So, and then moving from idea generation, you move on to implement these ideas. You have the idea championing stage. So
Yeah.
this is where you actually champion the idea to get resources.
Yep.
And to be perfectly frank, this is where a lot of researchers, academia struggle, because this is not what they were trained for. This is not their bread and butter. Yes,
Yeah.
and they need business development people. They need RMCs to actually have these business development people, or even from industry, kan? Either body shop or some sort of business model where you have business development people come in to help universities get the idea to the implementation yang ini. And notice again, there are two phases within the same stage, the implementation work behavior, because the kind of people you need for idea championing, they are different, or the way they're connected has to be different from the idea implementation. Gitu. And on top, you have support activities. You have technology audit, you have human resource, you have business model, marketing and communication, where IT now more than
Yeah.
ever plays a critical role.
Yep.
Unfortunately, because we haven't sorted out this idea, or rather the value chain stages, we are not collecting the right information for marketing and communication to take place. Yang ni.
Yeah.
I have had that experience, personal experience, managing or supporting universities, trying to get the ideas to commercial. Kan? And by the
Yeah.
way, at the bottom, I highlight the where design thinking falls under.
Yeah.
Everybody talking about design thinking. That's good. Design thinking is good. But hey, don't forget, you need to get it to the market. Itu. And then
Yep.
RDBC, the innovation management pipeline that a lot of RMC, university RMCs use, the research, development, business, commercialization. Notice it doesn't really aim to getting those ideas to the end users. It's meant to sell those ideas, license them, commercialize them, but not necessarily to the end users. And this is part of the problem, yang ni. Especially the problem identification. By the way, I had the chance to speak to one of the two gentlemen who developed the RDBC model back in 2010. Tuan Amiruddin Omar. He was one of the people who actually originally developed years ago. He was saying, yeah, here in Malaysia, we still have a problem with problem identification.
Yeah.
It's still not done properly. So I
Yeah.
think this is where industry needs to come in to really explain what exactly are the issues.
Yep.
So
To
that's
find the
actually
real
the issue.
problem identification, right?
Problem identification, I mean, it's a whole course by itself. And
Yep.
UTM,
You're right.
if I recall my class, my session in 2005, UTM used to have experts in this field. I do not know what happened to them. I'll be honest.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
We have to recall back.
yeah. UTM to me, UTM di hati.
Alhamdulillah. Terima
Not just
kasih.
saying that. I really believe in that.
Yeah.
So right. So moving on from here, what else ails us now? Okay. So this particular topic, I think it's
Yeah.
very, very
IR 4.0,
big.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Everybody talks about it. Everybody says, "Oh, we need this, we need that."
Yeah. Even sometimes people don't really get the right definition of IR 4.0 itself.
Right. That's the concern. That's a concern, especially if it's in industry, because they're the ones who's supposed to make use of this. Now, I mean, we can talk about this whole day or whole month. What I want to highlight here is that it's all these enablers. Yeah. First thing first, these are enablers. Cloud computing, big data, artificial intelligence. These are enablers. Unfortunately, a lot of companies in Malaysia, you will find them, easily find them. They come to universities, they come to clients and say, "Oh, you buy this. This is Industry 4.0." Kata, no, these are enablers. Kata, this is the industry IR 4.0. Kata, wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you're right.
we need to actually understand, and Prof, we need to understand that these are not the crux of industry or IR 4.0. These are the enablers.
I could totally understand that, because, for example, like you working with the computational fluid dynamics, CFD, if I'm not mistaken. So we have what we call it tools, which is maybe we use Fluent, maybe we use other software, Phoenix. That's just tools actually, enabler, Star CD to do the simulation. But how to model it? Yeah, that's the things actually, which is you need to think creativity, innovation, how to model it, because you may not get the right answer, you may not get the right solution when your model is not correct, right? So this is the thing that we need to give the right understanding about what is IR 4.0 itself. Actually, it's just enabler, but we need to have an innovation driven in the society to apply the IR 4.0. Is that right, Doctor?
Yes. Yes, I agree with you, Prof. This is the concern that we have when we see graduates, especially for I think about 1,200 graduates that we oversaw for Selangor. We saw this misunderstanding very prevalent. Either they don't understand IR 4.0, they don't understand Industry 4.0, Or they think, oh, deep machine learning, this is industry 4.0. Kata, sudah. Salah soal ni. So
Yeah.
we had to read
Sometimes they have,
this.
when you have 3D printer, you already in IR 4.0. They said, oh man,
Yeah. So
this is wrong
this is
section.
so we have to actually help our graduates understand and industry understand, okay guys, this is what they are. They are not what industry 4.0 is all about. They enable you. And so the
Yeah.
people are still important. So here's another cartoon that I actually found, and I
Interesting.
thought
Yeah.
it's so this is a shift tadi from IR 4.0 tu kan, to make people understand that all the sciences are somewhat interrelated. They are not,
Yeah.
I mean, you can treat them individually, but you won't be able to extract maximum value.
Yeah.
And people, scientists, researchers, industrialists who understand how they interrelate, kind the systems integration that you mentioned, and
Yep.
that is the future. This is what, or these are the kind of people we need to be able to generate, to produce from universities, so that industry say, hey, you understand how to contextualize things. You are the kind of person we need. Cerita lah. Saya mathematician ke sana, ke balik kanan sekali, tak ada orang nak ambil. Orang pity them. Having
Yeah.
said that, a lot of Singaporean financial institutions are beginning to hire mathematicians, and I can see why.
Yeah. Even I have PhD student graduate using CFD, actually employed by Singaporean. Actually, I mean employed by Singapore. Yeah, because
There we go.
they need these people that can do mathematics. Actually, yeah,
Yes.
to model things. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't left them behind. We have to keep them. We have to get them involved. Actually, yeah.
I think this is exactly what Sokso was highlighting today in the article in the Star. The fact that our industries are not really focusing on the production mindset. It's really focused on consumer. We consume other people's technology. We consume other people's product. We consume, or we just make other people's intellectual property. And if we don't shift, we have a lot of problems. We might even have rempit who have degrees. Actually, we already have that. Okay, so moving on.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
The graduates that we produce in universities, they must understand where they fit. They must first understand the overall value chain. Once they understand the overall value chain, how an organization adds value, then these graduates will be of greater value. Else, they would think, I just follow the instruction lah. I just look at the machine gives me instruction, I just follow that. Unfortunately, a majority of our industries in Malaysia are like that. Unfortunately. So hopefully, maybe this pandemic is there's a silver lining, Prof. Maybe.
What do you call it? Blessing in disguise. Yes.
Blessing in disguise forces us to really relook and say, hey, but the last time, people are concerned with, hey, how do I get so many people to get jobs so that they will vote for me? Now, it's a question of how do I get these middle, very well trained people, not only jobs, but they understand how to add value to the whole country. We have to do this. We can't be thinking of just foreign workers like the last time all the time. So this is a nice segue into the problem. This is a slide from the Malaysian Statistical Department talking about the GDP of our country of 2018. Notice more than half are actually from services. It looks like, bagus lah ni, services, we got manufacturing, we got all sorts of things. But when we take a look deeper, this is an analysis. Unfortunately, I don't have the data here, but it was done by MJIIT to figure out which courses they need to actually roll out, UTM MJIIT. They found that a large portion of our industry is low value add that do not require, this is critical, research, innovation, system improvement, they don't need it. They just need to have the consumer mindset, hey, we've been making billions of ringgit this way, why change now? Major challenge. And I think this is why Encik Abdul Aziz of Renhill yesterday, the group HR on the UTM engineering series yesterday said, we need to innovate, because these people are the ones who will drive our industry to get out of that consumer mindset. Is it happening now? It is, but it's a bit slow. Companies like Aerodyne, companies like Allah Akbar, the name escaped me. Or Westar. And these are, yes, Prof?
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
Okay, right. So companies like these they are actually driving the shift from the consumer mindset to the production mindset. Unfortunately, maybe because of the design, a lot of our policies don't really help these kind of industries. They're very helpful to low value add industries. And I mean, this is beyond the scope of our discussion. Hopefully policies will change. Let's leave it at
But
that.
it is informative, good information that maybe we can, prepare ourselves what to do next actually, right?
Yeah, inshallah, Prof. So anyway, so again, that's something else I want to actually share. When we talk about this transition from low to high value add, we tend to miss out the business model understanding. Our engineers, because they don't have exposure to business models, they tend to select technologies that don't actually support their companies. This is an issue. This contextualization, this integration, we need to help our graduates, especially the technical graduates, to understand these particular elements so that they can become technical leaders of our production-based companies. Technical leaders, yes, Prof. That is the aim that we need to achieve through this particular industry support of contextualization. Without this support, we will only keep producing technical graduates who industry insulting lah. Kita tak nak. I think we've cukup sudah lah. We want to move forward from here lah. Okay, so next, we're talking about this chasm. I'll keep it short. Because there have been a lot that's been written about this. I think there's a lot of disagreement and people saying, hey, this is your fault. No, it's your fault. Okay, sampai bila kita nak ke depan ni? So let's talk about what exactly are the 3 skill sets that's required. Now, first one, inability to contextualize technical skills to business model. I was just talking about this study, kan, Prof? And I like to talk about Apple TV as an example. You come across Apple TV, tak, Prof?
Say again? Apple TV.
Did you hear about Apple?
Yeah, I only can see the icon in my handphone. Apple TV.
Right, you hear Netflix tak? You've heard of Netflix, HBO, kan?
Yes.
Hulu, apa benda macam-macam dalam TV channels.
Yes.
What happened to Apple TV? Kan? What happened? Because you think with a very powerful brand, surely it's going to be a hit. And then their access to iPhones, and yet it was considered a commercial failure. Why? Because the IT people, the technical people who were running the show misunderstood what the business model was like. So they rolled out technical accessibility for clients that killed off their business model.
I see. Okay.
Yes. It's like somebody selling Musang King and saying, oh yeah, you can test the whole durian. For every durian you sell, you probably give away 2. Okay lah macam tu.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a great example. Apple TV is a great example of candidates who fail to understand what exactly is the business model that they need to actually support. So that's the Secondly, is the ability to deconstruct problems now. And so especially technical candidates. When provided or rather confronted with the issue, they tend to struggle with structuring the information around the problem. That's why I put a lot of ovals that you see in front of you in the slide. Oval. And then trying to communicate that particular deconstructed data sets. In other words, for example, when a client is confronted, or rather when an engineer, technical leader confronted with a problem, they are expected to be able to look at it and say, okay, my background is, for example, electrical engineering. This is a problem with an aero engine. they can easily say, what do I know about engines? I cannot do this. Or they can say, okay, I am an electrical engineer. This is a jet engine.
Yep.
What are the components that make up this particular issue? What are the things, what are the questions I need answered to be able to solve this problem? So I need to collect them. That's what these yellow ovals are all about. They represent these data sets. And then communicating that information to the relevant division, department, vendor, or whatever you. So that is why, if you notice, I put at the top, HOTS, higher order thinking skills.
Yep.
This is ability to solve a problem. And then at the bottom, I put lower order thinking skills, the ability to communicate that. Now, as you noted, Prof, there's been a
Yep.
lot of focus on higher order thinking skills, kan? High order thinking skills important, but we tend to forget that the lower order thinking skills are the basis. And successful technical leaders are those who are able to shift between levels. It's like driving a manual car.
Yeah.
You need to know, okay, which gear do I want to go in first? I want to masuk gear 6 tu yang mati engine.
Yep.
A lot of candidates they struggle with this. So we need to help them. Industry needs to actually help us educate our undergraduates or our students to understand this. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones who benefit. So this is the second inability. One is the inability to take ownership. Inability to take ownership. Now, a lot of industry, when asked upon or about ownership, they will say, candidates cannot take ownership. Candidates cannot take ownership. My experience in industry tells me that it's not always the fault of the graduate. Usually, for one thing, graduates need to have the ability to deconstruct problems, have the ability to support the business model, but they need to be given the support. So there are two things that they need. They need to be able to win over or convince their superiors, hey, this is a good idea. Give me the support, give me the resources, give me the money, and this is where low value add industries in Malaysia that make up a majority of our industries, they are terrible at this. They are terrible at understanding how to support. Because if you recall, Prof, I mentioned that, hey, these industries think we are low value. We don't need PhD holders, maybe one or two. Kan? We don't need manufacturing things that people want. Now, if I may mention companies that produce rubber gloves, yes, it's required around the globe. Everybody needs it for the pandemic. But when you think about the value add per product, it's a rubber glove. Apa sen je satu? And they probably need one or two PhD holders out of the staff of maybe 10,000. So this is where companies, or we need to understand that these companies, they will probably not require graduate holders. We need to produce more companies that require our graduates. And that is possible. That is possible. With the support of industry. And that will actually take me to the moving forward section. So that's why I decided to actually share this particular slide from Dilbert. Because essentially saying, companies don't want to give me resources, what can I do? Graduate. I've seen a number of cases actually, which is a pity. These are capable graduates not giving the proper support, the ownership, they lose heart. When they lose heart, so okay. Now, what the next section I would like to actually mention is the missing in action elements that add to industry. So what are they? Now, getting back to innovation value chain, we understand that it's made up of these major phases, creative and implementation. And by the way, universities are very good at the creative work behaviors. Our whole, I say our, macam lah masih lagi dalam akademia. I guess I'm still
good in academia,
yes, my heart's still in academia. Yes, I can honestly say that. So we are very good at that. Universities are very good at that. And industry, low value add industry are very good at idea championing. They need resources. But it's only the high value add industries who understand that they need to innovate continuously, who require the overall value chain. We don't have many. We don't have a lot of those. So the challenge now is for industry and academia to work together to start producing a lot more of these organizations,
Yeah.
either as JV, either as a partnership, or the university takes full ownership of particular all that. But that in itself, I mean, we can actually talk about one whole seminar talking about why isn't it working? Satu whole seminar boleh say pasal tu.
Don't worry, we will plan some other good session later, Dr. Rahmat. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, because this is not
Inshallah.
the end, but this is just the starting point actually.
I hope so. I'm really touched with the trust that UTM is giving. So inshallah, I hope to actually help and add value lah. Anyway, this is where we talk about missing in action, kan? Context. Now, a lot of universities undertake problem-based learning. Problem-based learning with industry. We have petrochemical. We have, I think, in 2017, UTM collaborated with the Swiss government to actually manage the Swiss Innovation Challenge. So I think that was a very big honor for the Swiss government to trust UTM of all universities. So that in itself highlights all universities in Malaysia, the university that they believe can help them, now getting back to innovation value chain, can help them reduce their cost on the creative work behavior because they know it's expensive. Swiss, because I managed to actually talk to the ambassador, the Swiss ambassador. I asked the ambassador, Your Excellency, why come to Malaysia? Why come to this region? His answer was very, very simple. We need to reduce the cost here. And we know Malaysians are very good here. They acknowledge that we are very good on the creative side. Here is where they make a killing of our ideas. Yes.
Yeah.
And they made a killing of our ideas, I can tell you that. Yeah, they really make money off.
Yeah. Because we have resources.
I guess that's
because we have resources, but we mismanage maybe. I don't know.
I'm glad you said it, not me. We know how to actually manage these resources properly. But the first stage is to understand, there's a value chain. We have to do this. Idea championing. You need to get information from problem identification. Problem identification people, you need to record that information in the database. IT database, you must capture that. And my experience as an industry advisory panel supporting universities and now recently community colleges, all of them do not see the interlink. When they don't see the interlink, I mean, it's like an aircraft, kan? Adeco, you have the empennage, the tail is attached to that, and you have the you're all attached. When you don't engineer the attachment properly, anjor lah. You have to engineer. That is why I'm a strong proponent that engineering skill sets is beneficial and applicable across the board, especially the interfacing design. It's just that graduates willing to change their mindset to realize, in a social scenario, the interface is different. It's not a solid thing. It's something else. It's different. Are we able to do that? But again, I think that is outside of the scope of our discussion. How are we doing?
We have to believe. We have to believe that we can do it. Actually, that's the
Yeah.
We have to believe that we can.
I believe UTM graduates can do that. I had the honor of working with a number of the candidates, a number of the graduates, and I think I have vision that UTM graduates. Yes, itulah, Prof. How are we doing for time, Prof? It's already 4.
Yeah, it's almost 1 hour already. Yeah, maybe probably very interesting talk. So then somehow we don't masa mencemburui kita. So maybe we can take up some question if we have any question from viewers.
Yes, I think that will be good, Prof.
We have one question from Jamali Ghaffar.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So TRL, technology readiness level, and MRL, manufacturing readiness level, always
Hmm.
apply in the defense and aerospace industry. How to transform from current Malaysian lack of innovation culture to be a leading innovation mindset for the Malaysian community. Over to you,
Okay.
Dr. Rahmat. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for the question, Mr. Jamari. Yeah, talking about technical readiness level and manufacturing readiness level. Now, so the question is to transform, or rather, the issue is the lack of innovation culture. As I pointed out, here in Malaysia, okay, we are very good on the creative side. Creativity is not an issue. I have a lot of conviction in that, and we have a lot of data set that supposes or rather supports that particular conviction. What we have, or rather, what's missing is our inability to support the idea championing stage, to actually gather resources for something that was designed in Malaysia. If it's already proven elsewhere, oh no, easy, lah, this one. Yeah, you just talk to venture capitalists, tell them, oh, this one's been designed elsewhere. Go ahead, mesti dapat duit punya. So that's a challenge. Yeah, that's a challenge. And since Mr. Jamari mentioned about the defense industry, one of the challenges in the defense industry, and I will say this matter of factly, no political connection here, nothing about apa ni, power play or power harassment or whatever. The problem in our defense industry is that notice that a lot of the contracts are overpriced compared to the value that could have been achieved if either that particular design was indigenized, either or those particular items were purchased direct from the manufacturer. Okay? And again, don't take my word for it. Take a look at a lot of the contracts that's been signed prior to this. Look at the value, ask the question, how come is this much? And because a lot of these contracts are open, yeah, people talk about, hey, this is how much it'll cost if you buy this many. This is how much it'll cost if you buy it ready-made from the manufacturer. And sometimes you see the overall contract prices go up 3-4 times as opposed to actually buying. So personally, I am a believer of indigenizing our defense industry. Yeah.
Yep.
However,
Yep.
that kind of business, should I say, business approach, business model, kills off the desire of others to actually say, you know what, we need to actually bring or rather develop our indigenous capability, because they say it's alamak, cost too much lah, charge too much lah. However, this is where industry can play a role. However, if for example, what's the word I'm looking for? If not the trade-off, there's a phrase that's usually used in industry when we actually purchase items and we actually get, mashallah, suddenly the word escaped me at this particular point in time. But
Procurement, no. Yeah.
not procurement rather, but Allahu Akbar. I will find that word. I will find that word. Technology Transfer Office is in charge of it. The TTO is in charge of this. Somehow the name escaped me at this particular point in time. Offset. Yeah, that's the word. Offset.
Offset, yeah.
Offset. If the values from offset are clearly seen, yeah, case in point, if we develop our, for example, armored car industry, we develop our armored car industry, and we see the impact across multiple industries, across the society, not just in terms of people who get jobs, but in terms of other supporting industry that develop for example, the remotely operated turrets. Yeah. Now notice a lot of remotely operated turrets for our defense industry or armored cars, they are not designed in Malaysia. Why is that? We have optronics experts. We have people who understand about impact. We have people who understand all that, but they're not integrated. Which leads or begs the question, why can't we, or worst comes to us, busuk-busuk pun, license the design, manufacture it here in Malaysia first, and then later on have our own indigenous remotely operated or remotely remote weapon station. That's the phrase that he uses. It's not happening. So we need to actually see the value of the offsets in order for the innovation culture to be driven, for people to believe, oh, this is the value. This is why we invest in this. This is why it has an impact at the bottom level as well as the top level. Right now,
Top level.
itulah. So that
We pray
is
for
what,
betterment. Yeah, yeah. We will pray for
yes,
betterment. Yeah, Dr. Rahmat. Yes.
yes, itu.
Yeah.
So thank you, Encik
Can we?
Damari, for the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. Can we take more? We have one more question.
Oh, okay.
Good sharing. Universities in Malaysia nowadays focus too much on pure application technical knowledge in low value industry, but none or not much on social capital development in our undergraduates. Any suggestion to universities to revamp their programs to meet the new demand in the 21st century? It's a good question, Dr. Rahmat.
Right.
Please, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. And thank you. I think this is IR Chua. I know this particular gentleman from, if I'm not mistaken, he's the UTM graduate. Alumni. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you for the question, IR Chua. Suggestion for universities to revamp their programs. Allow me to actually reshare my slide so that we can see what is required. Sempat tadi, ya. So now, right? So what exactly is required to contextualize problems? So moving forward, this is the first thing that we need. Industry needs to see candidates or graduates who have buy-in skills. These are graduates who understand the technical skill set, the high-end cognition, bread and butter they understand. And from my experience interviewing and training about 1,200 candidates and 1,200 graduates for Selangor State, we don't believe that our graduates have got a real problem when it comes to high-end cognition. Technical skill set, no problem. Which university from Malaysia. As a matter of fact, out of the 1,200 graduates, we found that graduates from 2 local universities consistently are better than the rest, even compared to local foreign universities, believe it or not. Malaysian universities. That's why I'm a believer that, hey, our education system is actually good. There are missing bits. Let's help bridge that in. So innovation buy-in skills. So that's the first one. Secondly, paralanguage. This is the technical skills related to the use of language, body language, inflections, persona in actually shaping ideas. Now, this is something that linguistic people, language people are very good at. And this is one of the skill sets that business people have. Now I'm sure you've never heard of a CEO say, oh, your skill or paralanguage skill is very important. Have you heard of a CEO saying that? Ada kan? Chief Business Development Officer saying, paralanguage skill important. They keep saying, oh, our candidates, our graduates like English communication skill. Apa ke benda Englishnya? It's not the main issue. I disagree with candidates or rather with industry leaders who say English is a problem. It is not English. It's communicating with ideas. So paralanguage. So we need to actually sharpen up our candidates' paralanguage skills. Thirdly, communication chemistry. Now, this is the ability of that particular person measure the effectiveness of their presentation. They can observe in the listeners, in the audience, is the audience listening to them? Which bits don't they understand? Which bits do they understand? And this is something that teachers, lecturers, and believe it or not, theatre people understand. Theatre, this is actually an element out of theatre. People who learn theatre formally need to be able to do this so that they can, on the fly, modify the way they actually present. So these are the 3 skill sets that we need to actually embed in our syllabus. In our syllabus, especially assessment. These are 3 skills. And we can do this. Yes, I guess quickly we can do this through the assessment. You don't need to change the syllabus. We need to come up with multidisciplinary assessment. So that's essentially
assessment.
what I'm trying to make. Yes.
Yes, I think thank you, Dr. Rahmat. I think you did mention about the problem is the assessment. We need to revamp the assessment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Rahmat. Time is running out. Sorry about that. So if there are any questions, maybe you can direct to me or Dr. Rahmat later, or maybe we can conduct another session, which is, I think this is a very insightful, inspiring, fruitful session. Thank you so much, Dr.
Alhamdulillah.
Rahmat. Dr. Rahmat, actually, we have our dean over here. He would like to say thank you to you, Prof.
Oh,
Dato
Alhamdulillah.
Engineer Rafiq. Yes, Prof. Yeah.
Dr. Aimi, thank you so much. I miss part of the lecture, but it seems very very interesting.
Alhamdulillah.
I will definitely watch the video again. Dr.
Appreciate it.
Rahman, thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for the trust, Dato'. Really appreciate it. And thank you to UTM. UTM has again, as I said, it's not my alma mater per se, but I have learned so much through the years from UTM, and I'm very glad to get the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rahman. All right, I guess that's all from Shaimi.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much, Dekan, our Dean, Prof. Dato Dr. Muhammad Rafiq. So maybe next time we can invite Dr. Rahmat to give more, session or sessioning, because I think he has a lot of slides over there. Then maybe he can keep it for the next session. Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for actually accepting our invitation. It's our privilege, actually, Dr. Rahmat, to have you with us today, and a great pleasure to have you as a leader of today, actually, because he's a leaders of what do you call it, leaders of enterprise. So today is our leader. You as our leader. So beside your busy schedule, so giving your precious time. So I think I will end up goodbye to you, and goodbye to all the viewers, and don't forget to like and share our webinar. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Assalamualaikum, Dato' and Prof.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.